Hey guys, what is up? It is James here today, finally recording the long awaited for best strategies at Legendary Fire video. So I do apologize for recording this kind of late, but I do have two really good strategies to show you guys. Gear setup, deck setup wise, and everything else. So I do hope that you guys do take a lot from this video if you are aspiring to do some level 60 fire PvP, since it is really fun and fire is going to quickly become one of the most dominant classes at Legendary because critical is going to be fixed soon. So not a lot of balances and other classes are going to be running full crit setups and gaining rank off of it anymore, cheaply like they were. Like you see up on leaderboards like 2k rank, 3k rank balance that have not boosted, they just run full critical. None of that anymore. So fire is going to be one of the most dominant classes. I will definitely be doing some more fire PvP when the crit update comes, so I can start shooting out those vids. But today we have two really dominant strategies for Legendary Fire PvP, and I'm going to go ahead and run them down for you guys. And again, I do hope you guys learn from this video and possibly end up using these strategies. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the first strategy we are going to be covering is the power ramp strategy. Now this strategy does require Brimstone Revenant, or it's not required, but it is of much help in the strategy. So if you do end up farming for Burning Rampage, which is a 100% must needed requirement for the strategy, then I do suggest you go ahead and farm for the reagents necessary to craft Brimstone, because it does work pretty good from second with this strategy. But this strategy works best from first, I just want to say that. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into the gear setup that you guys will probably want to run with this strategy. So the headpiece is the zigzag desert headgear, which you find from the House of Scales. The robe along with the hat can be farmed from the House of Scales and drops from the last boss in the House of Scales. The boots that you want to run in the strategy are the Firestarter's boots, which can be farmed from Waterworks and drop from the last boss, I do believe. Slister Glowworm, I think is his name. And the last boss in the House of Scales is Amit the Devourer, I'm pretty sure. But that's that. The best one that you can run in this strategy is the Staff of the Flashing Blades. But if you do not have that, then I would suggest running Sky Iron Hosta, because, again, when the crit update comes, block really isn't going to be, a thing still, because it's still percentage. But at the same time, if you get crit on, it's not really going to hurt. So, you don't really need to crit and you don't really need to block with this strategy. All it is like mass damage. So the more damage you have, the better. Just make sure that you have a decent amount of resist, and that's where the robe and the hat come in place, because they have really high damage and really high crit. But the crit really doesn't matter, it's just the damage. The necklace that you can run, I don't really have any on my character right now, but the best necklaces that you can run, or amulets I should say, are the lower zigzag dungeon amulet that gives 2 fire damage and a fuel, which is really good for this strategy. If you do have that amulet, I would consider putting it on your Legendary Fire, or if you already have it, then running it if you do not have Life Mastery. If you have Life Mastery, then run some TC Satyrs along with some other TC that I'm going to be running down in the strategy. But that is that. If you don't have that, then definitely farm the lower zigzag dungeon for the amulet. It drops from the last boss, the storm boss, and it gives a fuel card and 2% damage to fire. So as much damage as you could probably get a necklace for low level, if at all. I'm pretty sure necklaces don't usually give damage, but that one does. So farm for it, it's pretty good. If not, then just get a necklace that gives a blade. Those work too. So the rings that I would consider using, or actually I think I skipped the Athame. Well, the Athames that you want to be using are the Duelist Fatal Razor and the Emerald Bear Claw. The Emerald Bear Claw can be crafted right here in Vesterland in Winter Tusk from this guy over here, and the ring can as well, which is the Winter Tusk Ring of Courage, and they're pretty good on block and incoming and outgoing, as you guys can see. So I would recommend these, or if you have the Duelist Fatal Razor and the Duelist Daredevil Ring, I would definitely, ultimately suggest running those. But if you don't have both of them, then swap them out for the crafted ones over here in Winter Tusk. If you have the Mander Mummy's Circlet from farming House of Scales, this ring specifically drops from the first boss in the House of Scales, the Dinosaur T-Rex one, his name is Izift, I believe. He drops this ring, and it is actually really, really good, and probably better than the Winter Tusk Ring of Courage, in my opinion anyway. 6 in and out, 7 damage, 12 block, same block, same power pit percentage, a little bit less health, but the damage is really needed, and, healing is whatever. Like, you have power link, so you can get off infections and go for the Clean Satyr. So, in my personal opinion, go for this. If not, then go for the Duelist Daredevil. If not, then go for the Winter Tusk Ring of Courage. And that will sum up the rings and a theme, I'm pretty sure. So, the pet that you want to be running must have damage on it. Preferably 3 damages. If not, then a 6 and a 9. Because damage is a must in this strategy. So a pet with damage and preferably proof of some sort, or defy, does not really matter if your pet failed. But some type of resist and some type of mass damage. And then your deck can be whatever. I just run zigzag decks that I've got as drops. And, that is what that is. But that is the rundown of the gear set that you want to be running in the strategy. Now, this is a deck that I put together that you guys might want to copy and then, change a little bit to suit your needs or whatever, your strategy, if you might want to bend it and twist it a little bit. Build off of the deck is what I want you guys to do, essentially. But this is the main deck that I have put up for this strategy. Now, here comes the part where I tell you guys how the strategy is supposed to work. So, before anything, you guys need to use a fuel. Fuels are really, really, really good for this strategy. If you're not going to be using fuel, then you want to have Fire Beetle TC. They're really good. At least have 4 in TC if you are running this strategy. So remember that. Some other TC that you want to be running are Infallibles, obviously, and then Feints. Feints are a must for this strategy because it is called the Power Ramp strategy, and I'll show you guys how Feint comes into play. So basically what you want to do from first is you want to either pop a Fire Beetle or a Fuel. Then you want to make sure that you either have a Blade, a Bubble, and an Infoul up, or some variation of the 3. All 3 is even better. But you want to make sure that you have Bubble Control up, preferably because Bubble is everything, and it boosts all damages from fire attacks that you can put out. If you are versing a fire, then, opt to Blade, obviously. But make sure that you do have either a Fuel or a Fire Beetle activated on them so that 3 traps are floating around their feet. After that, you want to make sure that you have a buff, again, Blade, Infoul, Bubble, whatever, some sort of buff, and then you want to opt for the Burning Rampage. Now, if they do not Tower Shield that same round, then you want to opt for the Feint, and the Feint will buff your overtime by a lot, and it will do massive damage. It is an ultimate strategy, and it kills so quick depending on how much damage you have, or if you crit or not, or just whatever. And it does mass, and it is really hard for somebody to come back from this strategy because it is so overwhelming, and it only costs 5 pips. And then you just Feint on somebody and boom, like pretty much dead, like finish them off with a Brimstone. Now you guys might be wondering, what if I'm second? What if I use it and then they set on me? So what you want to do is, again, make sure that you have Infoul or some type of buff up. Use Fire Beetle and then use Burning Rampage. If you think that they're going to set on you, or use a Tower Shield so that your overtime does not do that much damage, then you want to opt for the Brimstone, and Brimstone hits and puts a trap. So in turn, you'll take off the set or tower and replace that with a trap. So you'll have the Fire Beetle trap and the Brimstone trap, and that's pretty much a Feint. So your overtime will still do mass damage. So now you guys can see, how OP this strategy actually is. It's kind of broken, to be honest, but at the same time, it's really, really good. So if you do want to use this strategy, it does have pretty good results, and you can actually beat balances that lore spam, because not a lot of balances can compensate, their overtime heals with lore spam, with, getting pelted by a fire that has Burning Rampage, and like a Bubble or a Blade up, and they possibly just crit on them and whatnot. It's doing mass, especially from first if you use the Feint. But like I said before, if you're second, then opt for the Brimstone Revenant. It does decent damage through a tower and adds a trap for your Burning Rampage tick, and it still does mass. So that is pretty much the power ramp strategy. And then I guess if you have enough pips, finish them off with an Ifrit or go for a Fire Elf, or just try to YOLO Brimstone Spam until they die. But the power ramp strategy, definitely like probably one of the best in my opinion. If you guys have other strategies, it would be appreciated if you would let us know in the comment section below. But that is the first strategy for the video. I'm going to go ahead and get into the second and last. All right, guys, so the second and final strategy that I'm going to be teaching you guys is actually one of the most underused strategies in the game. I would say by far, just by, you know, me going and looking at some legendary fire matches. But the strategy actually beats lore spam, like just straight up. Like if you're spamming this strategy and somebody's spamming lore, you can actually beat them if you have the right gear set, and you know, if everything goes in your favor for the most part. But this strategy is notorious for beating lore spam, and I do not see a lot of people running this strategy. So today I'm going to set lore spammers on tilt with this strategy for legendary fire, and this strategy's name is Megalink, and you guys can probably already guess what it incorporates in the strategy. But before we get into the strategy and the deck setup, I want to say that the gear for this strategy is really specific, but I will be teaching you guys some substitutes for like a Thames rings and boots if you do not have the Waterworks gear, but most of you should have Waterworks gear for legendary fire. But anyways, the hat that you want to be running is the Firestarter's Hood. It is the Waterworks hat that drops from Luska in the Waterworks dungeon, which is the first boss, the Squid boss. The robe can be dropped from or acquired from the final boss in Waterworks. These boots are the Zigzag Desert Mucklucks, I think that's what they're called, and these actually drop from the final boss in House of Scales, and they're not really like the most dropped item in the House of Scales. So I mean, if you don't get them, then just run with the Waterworks boots. They're still pretty good, but the Zigzag Desert Mucklucks are like the best boots to run within this strategy. Unless your pet does not have proof and defy, then I would consider running the Waterworks boots anyways, but that's just me. My pet does have double resist, so I'm going to be running, or if I did opt to run the strategy, I would be running the Mucklucks. So the obvious best wand is the Staff of the Flashing Blades. If you do not have this, then I would run any wand with block, or a better option in this situation, I would probably run you know, again, Skyrim Hosta, because it's just extra damage, and the strategy is pretty good with Skyrim Hosta because the more damage, the better. So your Thame, the best Thame that you can use for the strategy, like the best, is the Cosmic Chris. You can substitute the Cosmic Chris for the Emerald Bear Claw, but if you are interested in crafting the Cosmic Chris, come out to the Crustacean Empire, like around here. And right behind this big wall, there will be a guy right here. Talk to him, and he will sell you the recipe for the Cosmic Chris. Again, I highly suggest that you craft it because it's really, really good. It gives a lot of incoming and outgoing, and it's like it's pretty much Power Link's best friend in this strategy. So you definitely want to have it. Your amulet, either Life Mastery or again farm lower Zigzag for the amulet that I was telling you guys about in the last strategy that gives fire damage. Pretty good. Your ring. You either want to run the Mandir Mummy Circlet, again, dropped from Izzift in the House of Scales, the first dinosaur boss, the Wintertusk Ring of Courage, which is really good on in and out, or the Duelist Daredevil Ring for the damage and pierce. I would specifically say that you guys should probably opt for the Wintertusk Ring of Courage because it's decent on damage, not really as good as the Duelist Daredevil, but its in and out is like immaculate, so, you know, that next level vocabulary. But your pet, you want to make sure has some pretty decent resist, some pretty decent damage. It doesn't have to have like a 6 and a 9. It could, you know, be like a failed double 6 and like a proof and defy sort of thing. But at least double resist. If you can't, then get some kind of pet that has like proof and fortify, you know, may cast on it. But this is the ideal pet that you pretty much want for every strategy because the update is going to nerf critical, you know, pretty much like for good. So crit pets, a thing of the past soon. And then decks or whatever, obviously. And this is the part of the video where I teach you guys basically what you need to do. It's pretty much cut and paste with the Mega Link strategy. Basically, you want to use your fuels when you can so that your overtimes do more. Essentially, blades are an iffy on this strategy. Like, you only use a blade if you have to like power an Ifrit or something to kill, and you're sure that they aren't going to shield or anything. Or you might blade into a fire elf or blade into a power link if you need to, but blades aren't really like a must, so they can be opted out for something else. But fuels, definitely, you probably want to have like 1 or 2 fuels. I just deleted one for no reason. But bubbles, you want to have a bubble up before you start spamming power link, and you're going to be spamming power link a lot in this strategy. And believe it or not, I think I already said this before, it beats lore spam. So, you know, if balance is a problem for you, like this strategy, like spamming power link is better than spamming lore. So keep a bubble up, put an infile up, and just start spamming this stuff. And lore spammers and any like other type of like 4-pip spamming school is pretty much not going to beat you if the odds are in your favor and you don't get crit on for some BS damage or whatever. Links are used to get off infections so that your power links are giving you the maximum amount of health with your in and out, which should be mass. Meteor strikes, obviously, for minions, and you might want to pop a minion on the field too, because they're pretty good at spamming smoke mantles and also getting off tower shields of your opponent. But, you know, power link and normal link are known for their initial hits into the overtime, so you don't really have to worry about tower shields all too much with this strategy, which is why it's kind of OP as well. So, you know, that's that. An extra Sunbird, just, you know, because you might fail pip and have to enchant the Sunbird for an extra hit, or just YOLO the Sunbird without an enchant, because I doubt you'll pull the Sunbird and enchant it as soon as you do. So just have 1 Sunbird in there for clutch. The Fire Elves are for overtimes as well, just the extra damage or for whatever. Ifrits are for kills, and you might want to pack like 1 stun inside as well, just in case you have like 3 power pips and you have to stun into an Ifrit to kill after you have been chipping away at their health with power links and stuff. So that's pretty much the strategy. Just make sure you keep a tower up here and there, spam power link, and it's pretty much it. Just stay alive. Keep those bubbles up, like mass bubbles, because bubble control is key in this strategy. And then pop infections on your opponent in between spamming power links so that they can't heal all of it back. And that's pretty much the strategy. So I do hope you guys take this video and build off of the decks. If you guys do decide to run any of these strategies, leave a like if you feel like I did a good job. Likes are always appreciated to let me know what you guys want to see in the future, and what content specifically you guys are enjoying. And let me know what school you guys want to see next, so that I can do that video ASAP for you guys. But I would consider not choosing balance, just because balance does not really have a lot of strategies outside of lore. But I can teach you guys some strategies that do like include spectral blast and a lot of in and out, and just like other strategies with balance that do work pretty well without lore. But a lot of their strategies aren't like as effective without lore master, if you know what that means. So if you want balance, then stay balanced, but just know that balances can't really do much without lore master, especially now that the critical update is coming, and you can't really, you know, crit on spectral blasts and do mass damage with a critical setup. So try to refrain from saying balance, but if you want a balance video, then I will try my hardest to give you guys the best strategies on legendary balance with and without lore master. But for now, guys, this is going to be James giving you guys a sign off. Let me know what school you guys want me to do next, and I will put that video out ASAP. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace!